Hi, I'm Catherine Austin, and welcome to Living Karma Yoga, a new TV show by Karma Yoga in Bloomfield Hills, which presents the best yoga has to offer to all of us on this living journey. Yoga means union of the soul and the body, and it's so much more than a physical practice. At my yoga studio, we offer classes all day, every day, where people come to restore, relax, and energize. And really what they begin to learn from the minute they step onto a yoga mat is that this is the perfect path for the journey of life to guide us to wholeness. This show is going to bring you the best of the yoga world, from physical healing practices and postures to meditations, sacred chant music, travel, fashion, and more to support your radiance. Yoga is a journey just like life, and if you let it guide you, you'll get where you need to go. So join me on this journey, and thanks for tuning in. I'm going to turn the tables over today to Lynn Golodner, who is actually our publicist for Karma Yoga, and she is owner and chief creative officer of Your People LLC. So welcome, Lynn. You're going to interview me today, which is great.
Thank you. We're turning the tables a little bit, aren't we? Well, today I wanted to talk about how yoga has its origins in ancient India. I know that it started as a physical, emotional, and spiritual discipline that has its roots in Hinduism, but it's really spread throughout the world and now doesn't necessarily have a religious connotation, but has become a spiritual practice that guides and inspires so many people from all walks of life. I know you've traveled to India a lot, and I'd like to explore that today in our conversations.
Absolutely.
So, many yoga practitioners travel to India, and you decided to go how long ago? When was your first trip?
I believe I went in 2005, and I went with my teacher at the time.
So what inspired you to go all the way across the world to India? What was that pull?
Well, having been teaching yoga for many years, it felt like the natural next step to take, because I wanted to go to the birthplace of where yoga was. And I didn't know it when I first had that calling to go, but I believe I'd been there before, because when I stepped off the airplane my first trip, it really felt like home. In fact, I'm getting chills right now just saying it. So that was my first drawing, and I didn't want to go by myself. I was a little scared, as many people are, maybe about going onto the other side of the world, right?
Sure.
It's a big trip. And so I wanted to go with my teacher, who was taking a group this first time.
Now, that first trip, you were in the south of India, weren't you? And it's quite a big place. So I'm sure when Americans think about going to India, they don't even know where to start. There's cities we've heard of, there are cities we haven't heard of. Tell me a little bit about that first journey and what you saw in the south of India. And I know that later you chose to go to the north, and I'd like to learn about that journey.
Yeah. Well, the South India is known for its Ayurvedic focus. So this is the home of Ayurveda, this Indian holistic system of health and medicine. And I wanted to go on this trip because she was going to an actual Ayurvedic kind of clinic, resort, on the southern coast in the coconut palm trees, where we could receive Ayurvedic benefits, massages, treatments, and we'd have yoga all day, and we'd really have basically a 10-day cleanse by doing all that. And so that was the perfect entry point for me to start my yoga journey.
Okay. And Ayurveda is the science of life, is that what it translates to?
Yes.
And it really believes that where there is balance, there is health, and where there is imbalance, there is not good health.
Right, dis-ease.
Dis-ease, right, disease, dis-ease. And it has to do with digestion mostly, doesn't it, with what we eat? So what did you discover when you were in the south of India?
Well, I had already been practicing Ayurveda actually quite a bit. Just the daily rituals of maybe looking at food is bringing me into balance, and the daily oil massages and things that would help my constitution be more in balance. So when I got there, it was just more of the same. It really supported that. And we had an hour and a half, two-person Abhyanga or oil massage every day as part of this 10-day retreat. So everybody was just glowing by the end of these 10 days. You could also choose from the food on the menu is specifically designed for your constitution, and we could get in more detail. That would be a whole nother show what that means. And you could eat according to that so that you really got yourself feeling in balance. And then all the deep yoga, it was a powerful, transformative 10 days.
Now, I know that I've heard you tell me about how India changes you, and it's really a transformative journey. And there are vacations where we can go somewhere and see the sights, and we're still sort of inhabiting our own mental space. And then there are vacations where we completely leave mind and body as we know it, and we enter a whole new realm. My guess is, having not been to India, that that's one of those types of journeys, right?
It really is. I think now, after I've gone several times, I keep saying, I feel all Westerners should really go and experience a completely different way of life. It is a third world country, and so you don't go expecting it to be, for instance, America. You need to be comfortable with being out of your comfort zone. But that said, you're going to really grow and evolve from immersing in a completely different culture. And yet a culture that has such dramatic differences between wealth and poverty. But what I saw was the complete consistency of a spiritual life going on no matter where they were in that realm.
That's really fascinating.
Spiritual life there's every day. It's not just on Sundays or the weekend, whatever your faith is. It's every day. They get up and they go to temple at 5 in the morning and they go again at 6 o'clock at night. Or it's just the daily rituals that they do with food or with families. And there's a culture where the families really still all live together.
In the family compound.
That's also very different. It's just an amazing experience to get out of your life and into something completely different.
And so I know that a lot of people who practice yoga on a regular basis eventually feel that curiosity, that pull to explore India in particular. It's not, there's yoga in a lot of places of the world, but that is a place that beckons when you're a really avid yoga practitioner. I know that you eventually made your way to the north of India, and now you lead yoga retreats to India. So I'd like to hear about how you got to the north, and then we'll talk about your most recent trip and in planning for your 2014 India yoga retreat.
Great. Well, so the first trip took me to the south and got me really familiar with that resort. So I naturally actually want to bring my own group then to that same resort. And then that's what I did, I think, about 4 years later. And so I took a group of about 15 beautiful souls. And just even the trip to India is so big and so empowering to travel across to the other side of the world. So that's another big part of the trip.
That's true.
It really grows people.
Well, they say the journey is the destination, right?
It really was. You know, everybody's a little nervous, and it's great to go with somebody that's gone so you feel comfortable, and that's why I enjoy leading retreats. So we had the same sort of experiences, but now I was the yoga teacher, and so that was great, and we had all the massaging, and a lot of the group stayed for those 10 days, and then about 6 of us stayed, and we journeyed on up north because I wanted to explore more of India, and India is huge. So journeying in India is not a small feat. It takes a lot to travel anywhere there. So we ended up flying to Mumbai, and then we changed planes and started a trek from Udaipur all the way to Delhi by car with fabulous drivers. And this took a week, which was even really pushing it, to be honest. We needed more time.
Oh my goodness.
Because driving in India is tiring. I was trying to put it in a nice word. And we went kind of what they call the Golden Triangle, if anybody's familiar with that. So it takes you up like a triangle way, so you end up at Delhi via going through amazing palaces and sightseeing, and just driving along the everyday road of how people live and seeing that brings you into a space of such incredible gratitude for your life and all you have. And it is such a spiritual awakening to be in this country. And we went to, of course, Agra, to the Taj Mahal, so that was a fabulous experience to be at that amazing center, and then ended up in Delhi. Now, several of us then, they parted ways, and then just my best friend and I continued on to the north. And that's what opened up a whole new world to me, which was Rishikesh, which really is the home of yoga. And that's where we ended up staying for another good week.
Okay. So now your most recent trip, you just got back about a month ago. You talked about going to Rishikesh, Amritsar, all destinations in the north, and you were going to scout out your 2014 yoga retreat, weren't you?
Right. I needed to go to finalize like the details of hotels and travel, and maybe routes needed to be changed a little bit. So it was a great trip for that, as well as my own personal experience. So because I loved Rishikesh so much the first time I went, that second trip, I had to go back. Now, while I was there, I was attending the International Yoga Festival, which brings in teachers and swamis and major experts from around the world. So we planned this past trip to be there exactly at the same time.
And that's a week long,
It's always the first week of March.
Okay.
And this is what my retreat will be doing as well.
Okay.
I'm going to be taking everybody to this International Yoga Festival.
And there's just yoga classes and lectures and things?
Yes, there's lectures, yoga classes, there's kirtan music, there's Reiki courses, there's all day long offerings. Yet you're in this beautiful place on the Ganges. And so you can explore being in the Himalayas. You're at the lap of the Himalayas, and this is the area that the Beatles went to.
I was going to ask you about the ashram.
And they were known for writing this incredible music that, by the way, is filled with lots of mantra. And that's why it's still vibrating and still lasting after all these years.
Right, and you went to visit the Beatles ashram, which is not open to the public, right?
No, it's not open to the public, but fortunately I've made a lot of nice friends in Rishikesh, and they had some connections and got a few of us tourists into the ashram, and I cannot wait to take people there because the spiritual energy in there was crazy. It's nothing has changed. See, they closed the doors, and maybe just some of the locals have got in there and, you know, looted, took out bathtubs and doors, but everything else is still the same. Even the energy and the spiritual energy is still there. So it's really important to take people to this. It was so powerful I had to go back a second time and meditate in the domes where everybody meditated there in the 60s and 70s and 80s.
My gosh.
And you could feel it.
And then you went to Amritsar to the Golden Temple. So tell me about that.
Well, that was really quite the experience. We got on an 8-hour train ride, which is what we'll be doing as well from Rishikesh. And there's nothing like being on a train in India. It's just like a whole nother world. It's fun. It's, you know, you stick out. You know, it's actually great to be the minority. It's very humbling and very growth oriented. It's really a great place to be. And so we had a great train ride, met a lot of nice people. We got in about 11 o'clock at night and we're picked up by our drivers, which is really nice. The whole retreat is like this. We're very safe, secure. We have drivers. I work with a fabulous travel agency. And then we got to our hotel and we were done. You know, like I said, traveling in India is tiring. So, you know, that's it. You go to bed. And then the next day we got up and went to the Golden Temple. And the Golden Temple is the destination for the Sikh community for their spiritual home. And this is the most extravagant, beautiful site that I've ever been to. And I felt it was way more powerful than the Taj Mahal. Because the Taj Mahal is more of a museum. This is a living, working temple. Every day. And it was so full of so much love and high vibration because mantras are being chanted in there 24/7. And the rituals and the devotion from the locals and the visitors was so moving, so much that we did go back a second day.
So I know that there are other destinations we'll talk about in a moment, but I want to ask probably questions that our viewers are wondering. When you go to India, what do you eat? And how do you get by as this Westerner who really doesn't know what they're doing over there?
Well, that's a great question. And I think that's why you go with somebody that's gone. And that's what I did. So I felt really comfortable and very safe. And that's why I went to plot out again all those details, because nothing could be more important than my clients feeling safe and healthy and enjoying the food. So I only take them to super high quality, clean places to eat, hotels, restaurants, and that's a really important thing you need to know. You're in a third world. It's not the same bacteria, it's not the same anything. So they're safe when they go with somebody that knows where to go and what to eat. And you just you could either dive into Indian food, which I do, is just because I love, but all the restaurants have everything on it. You could have Italian, you can have Chinese. It's funny, you're in India, but that's still available.
That's amazing. You also, when you take people, you sort of prepare them before they go, right? You meet with them and talk with them about what to expect, and you help them get ready to make this large of a journey. It's not just a physical journey, it's also an emotional and spiritual journey. And maybe you can talk a little bit about how India changes you, how it's transformative. All of these details that you've talked about, but I know that there's an element that you really can't put your finger on. Is there any way you can describe that for people?
I know, it's really hard. Well, what I've noticed with myself over the years is that yoga is a path of conscious journey evolution, right? So as you continue to grow in this path of yoga, and then if you keep going back to India, so will your visits be different, because you're at a different state of consciousness. So when I would go to India each time and I'm meditating or doing yoga or pranayama exercises, they're very different each time I've gone back. It's taken me deeper spiritually, maybe in more of a deeper transcendent space, because my practices are that much stronger. Now, I find it really different when you're in these ancient cities of high vibration, of spiritual work that's just way older than the United States, that I go much further and deeper in my practices there because of the history.
There must be a gift to just saying, I'm going away from my life for a couple of weeks and I'm going to immerse where I am. I'm sure anywhere we do that, we really can disconnect from the craziness of our day-to-day lives and explore, you know, deep inside and really come to some revelations, but even more so in a place where spiritual exploration is part of the fabric of everyday life.
Well, there's nothing like, for me, I always say, getting on an airplane helps me to disconnect. Because with running a business and family and all that, it's hard for me to disconnect unless I get on the airplane. Now, go to the other side of the world, it's even better, because when you're on the other side of the world, there's nothing you can do. And the clock is completely different. So it's a really other great disconnect, because you can't even be with the people or business because they're asleep when you're awake. So that really helps.
It's really interesting.
So you disconnect and you just dive in to where you are. It's so beautiful.
That's so great. Now, I know that your trip in 2014, which you'll give us details about in just a moment, you'll go to all these wonderful places, to Amritsar, to Rishikesh, and then for the people who want to just get some R&R, you're thinking about going to the Glass House on the Ganges, is that right? And that's just a complete luxurious stay, isn't that? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, this last trip, I hadn't been there before, and then I've made some wonderful friends in Rishikesh, and they said, hey, we want to show you this place. So we went for a day and took us down the stream or down the river, and you're really in the deep pit of the Himalayas, and the mountains are all around you. It's so gorgeous. And you're out of the craziness of the cities. I love the craziness of the cities of Rishikesh and those, but you know, there's only so much you want to be in it, and then it's time to get out. And this is complete opposite. It's R&R, you're on the river, there's river rafting, there's trekking, there's relaxing, and you're in this beautiful boutique hotel where I'll be teaching the yoga and you can have massages. And I thought that this would be the perfect thing at the end of the trip, because India is a lot of energy. And also my trip that I just took helped me decide, oh, I'm going to switch things. We're actually going to begin in Amritsar at the Golden Temple, and then go to Rishikesh, and then go down to the Glass House.
So it's a progression of relaxation.
That's what it is. Because Amritsar is a pretty intense city, and for me, the destination really is just the Golden Temple there. Although I did go to Goindal, where I did these 84 steps of prayers, but that's not going to fit into our time crunch of a retreat. So we'll just head off to Amritsar, to the Golden Temple. We'll spend a couple nights at a really nice hotel there, even a great pool. So we can get a dip and cleanse. And then we'll take that fun train ride down to Rishikesh for the yoga festival. And by then your clock is adjusted a little bit, your time clock. From the jet lag, and you'll be ready for the yoga and meditation. That'll be a powerful week, and then you're ready for the R&R on the Ganges and the Glass House.
So tell me a little bit about the trip itself. You're leaving next year. It's going to be 2014, the last week of February, beginning of March?
Yeah, it's going to be roughly the last week of February. The first week of March is the
Yoga Festival.
The Yoga Festival. So you're going to think, well, if only a couple days in Amritsar, how do you get through that whole week to the Yoga Festival? Well, remember, flying takes you 2 days just to get there.
Right.
You need several days to travel, several days to stay at hotels, a day just for the train ride. Before you know it, it's already a week has gone by.
Wow.
And we're just getting to Rishikesh.
And then after that, it'll be another few days at the Glass House.
Right, it's going to be an additional 4 to 5 days at the Glass House.
Okay.
And if that might be too long for some people, they can stay as long as they need to. Airports are very close by.
Okay.
You could leave in the middle of the Yoga Festival and get home if you need to, or you can stay the whole time.
And how many people do you typically take on your retreats?
It usually is about 15 to 20 people.
Okay. And people can start signing up.
Yes, the information will be up fairly soon. The flyer's almost done, and I almost have all the details from the travel agent.
And that's at karma-yoga.net.
Correct.
So if people are interested, they've always wanted to go to India, whether they're currently a Karma Yoga student or not, if they're looking to explore in a way that's very guided and safe and will give them quite an array of what India has to offer, this is a great opportunity.
This is perfect, and many of my students are so excited about already because they want to go with somebody that's been there and then have these great experiences. You're going to have everything: India, spirituality, yoga, food, relaxation. Sky's the limit.
Now, when you take retreats, do people come from all over? They find you both online and your student body?
Yes, quite a bit.
So you could really have an array of people. And
I always do, yeah.
Okay.
And you'll get singles, you'll get couples, it doesn't matter. It's like whoever soul is ready to go is the right person that shows up. And the group is like divine order, exactly as it's supposed to be.
That's fantastic. Now tell me just a little bit about, for people who are watching and yoga is new to them, what is that connection of you start to practice yoga, it's in your neighborhood, it's an exercise, it's something that your friends do, so you tag along, and how do you end up getting to India? I mean, it seems like quite a reach. So tell me just a little bit about that progression.
Well, there's actually called the 8 limbs of yoga, and they start with just lifestyle practices, and then lead you to take the postures, to do the exercises, and the exercises help reduce stress and tension from the body, from the nervous system, from the mind, and then as you can see that lessens and you get more relaxed. You might be drawn to meditate. Can you even hear it in my voice? It's just kind of how it works.
I'm just tuning out right now.
Right.
It's great.
And so you're like, I want to meditate and I don't know why. It's the path. It will take you there even if you don't know how it's working.
Sure.
And I've watched it over 20 years teaching people. I've seen it in them. It just happens. The more you clear and purify, you get calmer, you get more relaxed, you get drawn to these more inward practices.
Sure.
And then you're getting more and more interested in where did this all come from, and I think I want to go to India now. It'll take you there. You don't even have to worry about it.
So interesting. It really is so opposite of how we live in America. People are at full tilt. They're at high stress levels, and it's so interesting. We think about how we operate, and we take very little time off, and everything is 24/7 with our smartphones and all of that. It's really important to connect with a practice that brings you back to the real reality, I would say. And this is really it, isn't it?
Well, your daily practice for me is like pushing the reset button every day. It connects me to my truth. It connects me to my joy, my dreams, my desires, because otherwise the typical American or human being wakes up with fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, all those other vibrations aren't natural, and they start to run us like this old program. And yoga gives us like new software. It gives us an upgrade, and it's like every day, and it doesn't even have to be a lot out of your life. People think, oh, I don't have time, I can't go to a class. You could do 3 minutes of a yoga posture and you will change the neuron patterning in your brain for the day. You'll balance your left and right hemispheres just with a little breathing exercise. Closing your eyes and listening to some sacred music, which will actually change the subconscious patterning. When we learn what these technologies can do for us, it's crazy how simple it is.
And it's interesting, I've heard that in India, yoga looks very different than it does here.
It does. In fact, a lot of Indians will often joke that I know more about yoga than they do because maybe it was brought up in their household, but it wasn't a huge emphasis because, they're modernized too, many families, and they don't have the time. They're working there much harder than we ever work here, I have to say. They work 24/7, and It's hard to watch sometimes how hard workers they are.
Wow.
And they don't really have a lot of time for yoga. It's more surviving, not thriving so much.
And that is a factor of being a third world country as well.
Yes.
They're just trying to get up there.
And they just love that Westerners are coming and embracing this.
Sure. So what does yoga look like when you're in India? If people come on the trip, will it look a lot like it does here because they're with you and they're going to be in classes with you? Or will they be in yoga studios there? Are there studios in India?
There are, but the festival is so exciting because it's all outside.
Oh, cool.
And it's beautifully warm and everything. And a lot of the classes are done along the river. You are right on Ma Ganga.
Wow.
You're getting all her spiritual blessings and energy from the river. And you're also on site at Paramath Nikatan Ashram. So this is who holds the yoga festival.
Okay.
So you're right in that big spiritual vortex in the ashram, on the Ganga, and the Himalayas. Doesn't get much better than that. And they'll be with me in all those yoga classes or going to other ones that they're interested in. We can all choose what we want to do.
Sure.
But when we're in Amritsar and when we're on the Ganges at the Glass House, I will be the yoga teacher for that time as well.
Okay.
So they're going to have a great exploration of all different types of teaching.
Now, I'm sure that some of the people who will come with you already meditate and some might not. So is that something that you'll be teaching your retreaters as well? A little bit of meditation?
Yeah, we'll do some different meditations when they're with me when I'm teaching, yes.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to share about India and this journey that you're on?
I just feel that everybody should do it, even if they have a little fear or scared or something. Just do it because it's a big life changer. And in this, I've gone 3 times, and each time I come back completely different.
Really?
It shifts me to another place.
Wow.
Can't even explain it, but it does.
That sounds fantastic. I am excited to go. I know that I'll be there
I'm so
with
glad
you.
you're going.
And I hope lots of people who see this say, I need to sign up. It's going to be fantastic. What better way to see a completely foreign part of the world than with somebody who has such passion for it and has had such wonderful, life-changing experiences there. So this is, I know it's fun for you when you go, but it's such a gift that you're giving to others to guide them on this path. And you're right, you just arrive where you need to arrive. So it's really fun and exciting.
Thanks, Lynn. I was in tears after this last visit because I was so excited what I'm going to bring people back to experience.
Wow.
It was even more than I thought on my trip.
That's fantastic. I'm going to hand back over to you and you can close out our show today.
Thanks. It was fun having you turn the tables.
It was really nice.
Thanks for coming.
Sure.
Great. So I'd like to close with an inspiration of the day to get you on your way. And this is one of my favorite ones from Yogi Bhajan. He says, keep up and you'll be kept up. And I have to agree. And thanks again to Lynn for joining. And if you like what you see here and want to learn some more, please come to our website at www.karma-yoga.net. Namaste.